I am Ray, and are you ready to live life on easy mode? Well, congratulations, you're in the right place, friend. Or foe? We have yet to see. You see, it seems like most people, at least in America, it's like we have this addiction to struggle. We love it because we're doing it all the time, and I don't know why. Oh wait, I do know why. We place all of these burdens upon ourselves. We do it to ourselves. Because of our own ignorance. I see you have not been pondering your orb. It's okay. I've got you. Just something to think about. Or ponder about. Ooh. Just take a moment to download. Okay, that's enough. You see, the only reason that people struggle is because they're trying to swim upstream in the river of life. Merrily, merrily, I think not. Of course, when you're swimming upstream, it's going to take a lot of effort. But you don't have to do that. You got two options, that's all. You got resistance and you got flow, okay? So, when you flow, there's no more struggle. Make sense? But we do not flow. Why not? Well, the spiritual teachers have been talking about this since the beginning of time, and what it comes down to is your mind. You see, your mind is a tool that creates the sense of separation or individuality. And this individual form is getting annoyed at these birds. I hope they are not annoying you. Where's the shotgun? I'm just kidding. I love birds. The mind is what gives us the sense of me. I am doing things. This is what I want, and I definitely don't want that over there. Now you can begin to see where struggle comes from because, well, the mind is the only thing that can enter into resistance to life. Because if life is presenting itself in this way, this particular way, the mind can say, well, yes, I like it, let's keep it this way, or no, I don't like this, let's change it. But the fact is, life is always changing. It's never stagnant, it's always flowing. So no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try to hold on, everything is just being swept away. And when life isn't going the way you want it to, well, obviously there's going to be some resistance. The reason we struggle is because we don't trust life. And because we don't trust life, we feel like we, as the mind, as the ego, we feel like we have to do it all ourselves. And guess what? When you place the burden of the world upon this very limited state of consciousness, there's going to be a lot of struggle. There's going to be a lot of, oh, this sucks, I hate my life. And you're going to get temporary glimpses of peace or love or joy that will soon go away because here the mind comes back along and says, well, it's like the spiritual teacher Muji would say, when you're eating breakfast, the mind is thinking about, oh, what's for lunch? And then when you go and eat some lunch, it's thinking, oh, what's for dinner? Even when you get what you want, you will not be satisfied because it's all changing. The mind just wants more and more and more. It's never enough. If you want to play life on easy mode, live the life of your dreams, you gotta break free from the prison of the ego, which means all of your attachments to your desires and the things you want to avoid. And you gotta start accepting life and trusting. That is how you flow. The more you accept, the more you enter into harmony with life, which is the source of all that you could ever desire. Life, its nature, is peace, love, joy, and abundance. What else is there to want? There's nothing. It's everything. It's all a mathematical process. Luckily, life isn't that crazy. It's like most people are just struggling, wondering how to, get out of the struggle. And here's how. Never got to worry about it again. So we got two polarities. You got heaven on one side, you got hell on the other side. And you don't need to be religious to understand this. Hell is just the worst possible feelings. Heaven is just the best. Everything you want, right? So over here, you got peace, love, joy, and abundance. And over here, you got suffering, pain, misery. And we all exist on this spectrum, somewhere in between. Now, what is it that determines whether or not, where we are on this spectrum? Well, it's how connected or disconnected you are from life. So when you're trying to live from over here, you're trying to get what you want, the whole time it's a struggle. Because people are trying to attract high vibe things from a low frequency state. That's not how this works. Every decision that you make from a negative state of consciousness will more than likely create a negative result, which is why you see people struggle. They're feeling bad all the time because of their situation. They're thinking bad all the time because, life isn't going the way they want it to. So from this negative state, they're trying to live a positive life, or that's what they're striving for. Not realizing that if you just started reconnecting with life, you started feeling better more often, feeling more peace, love, joy, and abundance, because you can feel these things now. Well, then you would begin effortlessly entering into your most successful life. As Jesus said, seek first the kingdom, and then mug about in the world. Because until then, it's all just a rigmarole. It's all a waste of time. You're spinning your wheels. You're not doing nothing. Oh, let me work for 5 years and see, maybe we can save enough money, and then maybe we can buy this, and then maybe we can do... It's irrelevant. If you find yourself struggling, you're doing something wrong. Now, it doesn't mean that there won't be hard times. But there's a big difference between approaching your problems with a sense of grace, meaning the struggle, it's not a burden. It's actually fun. You're striving to overcome this situation, and it's like a game. It's enjoyable, but that's not how most people are living their life. They're desperately trying to escape these hell realms that they're living in. So you gotta see the difference. There's struggle that is just a burden, and there's struggle that builds you. And the struggle that builds you gives you meaning and purpose. So it's not a bad thing. That kind of struggle is effortless. But only if you have that grace, and you can only have that grace when you are in flow with life. Because through the whole process, you're at peace. You're enjoying the process. You're enjoying the journey. You're not so desperately trying to get some result. And this is the problem. The mind just wants what it wants. And if it doesn't get what it wants, then it gets upset and throws a fit. That is why we suffer. But if you realize that life is taking care of you and building you into the one that can hold and receive all that you desire, you stop getting so upset when life isn't going your way. Because life is always going your way already by default. You don't gotta do anything. Now, when I mean you don't have to do anything, what I'm actually saying is you as the mind don't have to figure out really anything. You just have to allow life to flow through you, and life does all the work. You just enjoy the journey. That is playing life on easy mode. Like for my life, for example. It's like everything I touch turns to gold. I'm not bragging. It's just life flowing through me, doing everything. Because I am no longer in the way, sabotaging my blessings. So things work out. I couldn't even mess them up if I tried. Because that's what life is like. When you're in harmony with life, you stop struggling, you stop suffering. It's just, now I get to enjoy the movie of life. Instead of trying so hard to change it or escape it. And because life itself is the source of harmony, when you allow more life to flow through you, that harmony solves all of your problems. Because a problem is the absence of harmony. It's an imbalance. So all you got to do, balance the equation. It's all mathematical stuff. So you know how much you're living in hell based on how disconnected you are from life. the more that life is a struggle, the harder that you have to work, the more that you suffer. All that it means is that you're disconnected. And if you want to be free from that, you just have to reconnect. And the secret is, life can only be experienced in the present moment. And what the mind does, it constantly pulls us out of the present moment from our cheeks. And we're just dangling there like we've gotten clawed. Like one of those machines, you ever see them? And it throws us into the mind space of hell, where we're always judging the present moment. We're judging our current experiences. This is good or this is bad. Or we're ruminating about the future. All the terrible things that could happen. Or we're also ruminating on all of our regrets of all the things we've done wrong in this life of the past. That is what disconnects us from life. And the more you are attached to your mind identity, the easier it is to get you pulled out of the present moment and more disconnected. And that is why you can't stop thinking. Because your consciousness is getting hemorrhaged, it's getting stuck in the body, in the mind. All of your life juices are getting sucked up, turned into thoughts that are fueling your mind identity of who you believe you are. So what happens on the spiritual journey is that when you awaken, when you realize that you're not your body, that you're not your mind, you naturally stop feeding it. And because you stop feeding it, it can't grow stronger. Now all of its energetic momentum begins to dissipate over time. And naturally, you become rooted in the present moment. Because you stop feeding all of your mind stuff, and it stops pulling you out of the present moment, and so you return to your natural state of being. In the present moment, empty. Even if thoughts arise, it's just noise. It's just stuff. But you're always aware of the ground of being that is your true nature. That's why I always say, just be. Because when you just are and nothing else, you are living in your royal state of consciousness, and you're no longer living as a beggar, struggling in the world for scraps. That's what people are doing. Did you know this? People are struggling their lives away for nothing, for little scraps. They taste it, and then it's gone. Then they gotta struggle again, like a mouse. Takes a little bit of cheese. Now I gotta go find more cheese. More cheese. Mr. Mouse, can you weigh in on this? Here he is. What do you have to say for yourself, Mouse?
The unbearable weight of my sins weigh heavily upon me.
That's what I thought. And you see, in the present moment is a state of no mind. And it is called a flow state. Have you ever heard of it? Are you beginning to see the secrets of the universe? Maybe some more time pondering, You see, we are all connected to Source, which is the source of life, which is also called God. Ever heard of it? Like a big ocean. And we are connected to that big ocean through this hose. And our mind, the gateway between the inner world and the outer world, is like a resistance valve that either opens up the flow or tightens it up. Now, you've seen people who have really constricted energy. It's called cringe. It's like when you go to speak to them, they have a hard time expressing themselves because their consciousness, their life, is tied up, stuck in their body. So they're very tense, they're very constricted. That's what the mind does. The more you're attached to all of your mind stuff, your identity as a separate self, the more constricted you are. And at the far end of that spectrum is evil. I mean, think about it. Because the mind is the source of selfishness, it's like a reptile whose only purpose is to eat other things to sustain its own life, right? So the more you're attached to your mind, at the far end of that spectrum, you are fully selfish, like a black hole, completely absent of light and life. So what happens? You become divorce. That's what you get. You get divorce. You get divorced from life. And you get married to death. So you become a vessel for death and destruction in the world. And that is, now you know why serial killers exist. That's all. This is all it is. Now you know the source of all evil. People are just disconnected from life. And now you know disease as well. Because where life is not, death is. And what is disease? Dis-ease. Disconnected from life. Imbalance. And also think about it. When you're in a flow state, which means you're deeply engaged in the present moment, you are always at your best. That is when you do your best work. Think about a musician. If you've ever played or made music before, when you're deeply engaged in the project, it's like the music makes itself. In that moment, you, as the mind, disappear because, well, the flow state is a state of no mind, opening up the floodgates. There's no longer any resistance. And that is when you do your best work, no matter what you do. Maybe you paint. Or maybe when you have a deep conversation with someone. Time passes effortlessly because time is a mind thing. Time does not exist in the present moment. And also, it's just effortless. And also, the best. But think about when you're not in a flow, having a conversation with someone. It's like pulling teeth. You're struggling. Why? Because it's forcing it. You're not in flow. You don't like that person. I don't want to talk about this. I can't be in flow around this. Because you're not interested. You're not engaged. So the less you are engaged in the present moment, the more you are in resistance and struggling. And this goes for all aspects of life. This is also why people are addicted to work. Because when you start working, you get into a flow state. It engages you in what is directly in front of you. And in that moment, there is no struggle. But the struggle comes when we are disconnected from the present, disengaged, and start thinking about stuff. So the trick is, if you want to live effortlessly successful, continue surrendering your mind to the present moment through accepting life as it is, through paying attention and becoming aware of your mind attachments that are causing suffering. Like, for example, let's say you're struggling with money. In that moment where you as the mind are not getting what you want, you're entering into resistance to life, which is the same thing that is pushing you away from what you're trying to get. So it doesn't make any sense. You just got to be aware of how much sense it doesn't make. Even though people who do things like that try to be realists. Like, yes, look at my bank account. It's negative. I'm just being a realist. Well, guess what? Being a realist is also being a slave. Do you want to be a slave? I didn't think so. Because by focusing on the problem, you enter into resistance to life. And because life is the source of abundance, you cut yourself off from it. So from this cut off state, you try to get what was already yours, which is why there's a struggle. It's all an illusion. It's all just ignorance. We're ignorant that, well, you are the source of what you seek. Nothing that you desire is outside of you. But because we believe that, we spend our life mucking about in the world trying to get what we want. It's a hamster wheel. It's a rat race. That's why they call it that. Because you're just going around and around and around. There is no escape until you exhaust yourself to death. That's all it is. Eventually, no matter who you are, no matter if you're David Goggins 2.0, you will surrender. Because as the mind body, you're a limited human being. That is what death is. Death forces you to surrender. So you can start doing that now, so that on your deathbed you don't have to be resisting life. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. No, I don't want this. Well, if you learn how to surrender to life, you're not going to be worrying about death. Because the more you surrender the mind to life, the more you, as the mind, become one with life, the life that you already are, but you're living in this illusion of separation. And where there is life, there is no death. Where there is light, there is no darkness. You are the light. You just don't realize it yet. But that is what this whole channel is about. It's about you remembering your true nature. That you are the light, that you are the life. And every once in a while you got someone like Jesus coming along reminding you, hey, look at me. I am the light, I am the life. And if you look within you, you can find the same. Oh, you haven't been listening to me? You created a religion? Talking about how great I am? I am disappointed in all of you. Have you not been listening? You have not been pondering your orb, fools. I don't know, maybe Jesus talks like that. Wait, he didn't even speak English. If you look at what Jesus actually said and not what, people think the whole thing was about, it's all about the same one thing. They call it a circumambulation. Circumambulation means in the center there's a holy object and you're walking around it. It's a fancy word, right? That's all it means. So through these different ideas like loving your neighbor, you surrender to the present moment because your mind is no longer getting polluted by judgments. Think about the pure in heart. They see God because those who are pure in heart don't have all of this nonsense going on in their mind. They don't have all of these lustful desires for money and worldly temporary pleasures that disturb the mind. They don't have all of these attachments. That's why he said, hey, unless you come to me as little children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. This is the price you have to pay. Why? Because little children are not conditioned by ego nonsense. They are free until the adults start conditioning them until they become slaves, like the rest of us. Or the rest of them. Not us. That is why children remind us of something we lost long ago, because they are always connected to life. They're always authentically expressing themselves unapologetically, and they don't care what anyone else thinks. And we as human beings, wearing all of these masks, can't handle their authenticity, can't handle their truth. So we say, hey, put on this mask so you can fit in with the rest of us, so we don't have to, don't embarrass us. So we begin disconnecting them from life because they start suppressing their authentic self. Start developing all of these mind attachments, all of these stories, all of these beliefs about themselves and about others and about the world until, a lot of people become an empty shell because they've been cut off from their soul. And there is something within all of us that yearns to be free. And what that thing is, it is your soul trapped in this body, a slave to the tyrant mind, the monster mind. And it's just begging for you to release it. That is why life is miserable for people, if you did not know this. It's like, I gotta wake up, I gotta pay bills, I gotta come home, maybe I'll watch some Netflix, and then I'll go to sleep. And I get married, and I don't even like this person, but, hey. And dull existence. Why is everything so gray? Am I living in Russia? No, I didn't think so. This is America. I thought this was the land of the free. I guess I was fooled. I should have listened to that guy on YouTube with the cool beans. Maybe he knew what he was talking about. But apparently I don't. Apparently I know nothing. Oh my God, I'm wise now. And look, don't listen to the other crabs in the bucket who are telling you, no, you gotta struggle, you gotta grind. There's nothing wrong with grinding. That's how you make tasty burgers. But if you're truly miserable in what you are doing, it means you are doing something wrong. You're trying to force what doesn't need to be forced. The only reason people force and grind and struggle is because they don't know any other way. They've lived their whole life like that, so that is all they know. But now you know more. Now you know that there's a better way to live life. And you can still work hard. That's not what I'm saying. It's when you work hard, it should give you a sense of meaning and purpose and joy. And it should not be a true burden. A burden that says, I don't know if I can keep this up. I don't know if I even like this. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You're disrespecting life. That's the punishment that people get. They disrespect the life that they've been given by wasting it, struggling to achieve worldly things that will all be taken away. It's just dust. So you trade the only thing that really matters, that is your life, and you trade it for nothing. You live like a beggar, and that is the punishment. Doesn't mean you're not a good person. Plenty of good people are beggars and struggle their whole lives and die because of their ignorance. Life is very cold in that way. You either know or you don't know. Doesn't matter if you're a good person or a bad person. And a lot of evil people, they get all the success because, guess what? They claim their power. They say, yeah, I'm going to do what I want with my life. And I don't care what anyone else thinks. And hey, not a good thing, but life respects that decision. Now, eventually, of course, they get everything taken away from them. But the point is, all you gotta do is realize that life is already taking care of you. You start building your faith and trust muscles, and you just let go. Because the more faith you have, the more you feel the need to not control everything. Let me phrase that differently. The more disconnected you are from life, the more you feel the need to control everything. But the more you connect to life, the more you realize, oh, it's already happening. For my highest benefit. Have you not heard the Sermon on the Mount? Jesus said, look at the flowers and look at the birds. Does God not take care of them? So how much would more God take care of you? Do not worry about what you will eat or what you will drink or what you will wear. Be naked if need be. Because God is already taking care of you. Stop it. Stop getting in the way for God's sake, or for your own sake, actually. Because God is trying to give you everything. But we are like stubborn little babies saying, no, I don't want it. I want this. Don't give me that. Don't give me these vegetables. Who do you think you are? No, the vegetables are good for you. Eat the vegetables. I swear to God, if you don't eat these vegetables, I swear to myself, I will throw this orb of pondering at your face. Eat this knowledge. Look, just eat your vegetables. Moral of the story. What I'm trying to say is that when life, whatever life that gives you, right? Life is giving you something. Take what it gives you and use it. If life gave you this addiction, use it to overcome your mind attachments. Use it to surrender. Use it to grow. Because that's what it's there for. Don't wallow in suffering, spending your whole life trying to get rid of that addiction. Or if you're living in poverty, don't spend your time trying to escape poverty, trying to struggle with your worldly problems. Use it as an opportunity to allow God to take over. Because you trying to steer the wheel, it's not working. At least, that's how most people, that's how I would judge. Oh my God. I have judged, and now I will be judged. Let go and let God, for Christ's sake. Jesus, take the wheel. And you'll see how life just starts effortlessly working out. You can let go. You don't need to control everything anymore. The more you find yourself controlling things, the more you can assume that you're being a slave to your ego. And the more you're just allowing life to flow as it is, the more you know you're becoming more grounded into the present moment. And when you're grounded in the present moment, you're like a tree with deep roots. And so it doesn't matter what storms of life come, you will be okay. Whereas everyone else, they're going to get blown over. Because that is what it's like to live from ego, live from mind. There's endless insecurity. There's endless fear. Because when your life is rooted, I am Groot. When your life is rooted in the present, when your life is rooted in the mind is always changing. So it's like building the foundation of your life or your house on some ground that is not stable. Earthquakes, instantly just falls apart, done. Like building your house on a rickety cliff. Can a cliff be rickety? A rickety house on a cliff. So no matter what you do, there's always going to be fear of loss. There's always going to be attachment to, I really want this. And the mind's desires are always changing. You're getting pulled all over the place. No peace. And you get temporary satisfaction when you finally get what you want. Because for a tiny little moment, the mind stops desiring that thing. So the desire goes away, your natural state of satisfaction and peace arises, but then the mind just comes along with another desire. That's why we get stuck in addictions. We have a strong desire that's really messing with us. It's taking away our peace, and then we satisfy that desire. And then we feel that peace for a moment, feel that satisfaction. But because we fed that addiction, we fed our mind stuff, it just comes back worse. And then we need to engage in that addiction worse in order to feel that peace again. But the point is, peace is the default state. Satisfaction is the default state. Love, peace, joy, and abundance is the default state. Don't live your life from I am this or I am that. I am this kind of person. This is what I do for a living. Just I am. I am here. I am just being in the present moment. And I continue to build my faith and trust muscles. Continue to remind yourself that everything is working out perfectly for you. And once you begin to see the evidence of this, it no longer needs to be a belief. It's just the evidence that you see. It's self-evident. Life is already taking care of you in every possible way. Even when you're struggling with your addictions and your struggles and your struggles. It's all designed to build you into the greatest version of you. But you cannot learn the lessons that life is trying to teach you if you're wallowing in suffering. Trapped in your own psychological drama of what you think is happening to you, being a slave to your ego. The only prison in existence is the prison in your mind, and you are the prisoner and the jailer, but you can let yourself out at any moment by choosing not to entertain this nonsense anymore. By becoming aware of all the suffering that you inflict upon yourself through your judgments, through the stories that you play over and over again, through the things you choose to focus on. Do you choose to focus on all the things that are going wrong, or do you choose to focus on all the things going right? Because both are true, both are equally true, because life is equally balanced between negativity and positivity. It's not about what you think is true, it's about what you choose to focus on. No matter what you're going through, you can use it for your highest spiritual growth, or you can allow it to destroy you. The choice is yours. Right now, you got a decision to make. Do you want to continue living life on hard mode, or are you ready for effortless success? Either way, join the Spiritual Rebels community and join others on the same path as you, looking to transform their life in the greatest possible way. Much peace and many blessings, and remember, just be. Too dark. Yep, right there. Do you see it? Do you see the bee?